This is the Antonov An-225 Mriya. For over 3 decades, it was the largest and heaviest aircraft to ever cast a shadow on the Earth. And it wasn't just big, it was a statistical anomaly, a machine so fundamentally extreme that it seemed to defy not just gravity, but logic itself. Its wingspan was longer than a football field. It had 32 wheels to support its immense weight. It was powered by 6 massive engines when the iconic Boeing 747, itself a giant, only needs 4. Fully loaded, it weighed 640 tons. This airplane was a complete one-off, a unicorn of the skies. It was a machine built with a single, incredibly specific and top-secret purpose in mind. It was created to serve a mission so ambitious, it would have changed the 20th century. There was just one problem. That mission never happened. So why? Why would the Soviet Union pour a fortune into building the world's biggest plane, a machine of unprecedented scale and complexity, only for its primary purpose to vanish into thin air? Why did the world's biggest plane exist for a mission that didn't? To understand the answer, we have to go back to the paranoia and ambition of the 1980s. The Cold War was in its final, frantic stages. The space race was no longer about planting flags. It was about military dominance. The United States had the space shuttle, a reusable spacecraft that was not just a scientific marvel, but a potential game-changer. It could, in theory, deploy spy satellites, conduct military experiments, and possibly even snatch enemy satellites right out of orbit. The Kremlin was terrified. The thought of an American military shuttle flying over Moscow with impunity was unacceptable. So they did what any self-respecting superpower would do. They decided to build their own, bigger and better. This was the birth of the Buran program. On the surface, the Buran was a near-perfect copy of the American shuttle. But the Soviets had a massive logistical problem that NASA did not. The components of the shuttle and its colossal Energia rocket were built in factories scattered across the vast Soviet Union. They were simply too large to be transported by road or rail to the Baikonur Cosmodrome for launch. They needed to fly. The Soviets initially tried modifying an existing bomber, but it was not nearly strong enough. They needed something new, something purpose-built. They needed a flying whale. And so, the Antonov Design Bureau, a Ukrainian aircraft manufacturer, was given a seemingly impossible task to design and build the world's largest cargo plane, and do it fast. The result was the An-225. It was a marvel of brute force engineering. They essentially took their already huge An-124 cargo plane, stretched its fuselage by 15 meters, added 2 more engines, and redesigned the tail with a distinctive 8-shaped twin fin. This unique tail was crucial to allow the plane to fly safely while carrying a massive object on its back that would disrupt the airflow. The mission was clear: piggyback the Buran orbiter across the continent. In 1988, the Mriya, which means dream in Ukrainian, took its first flight. A year later, it made a spectacular international debut at the Paris Air Show, with the Buran shuttle mounted proudly on its back. It was a symbol of Soviet ambition, a testament to their engineering prowess. The world had never seen anything like it. The mission, it seemed, was about to begin. And then, it did not. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. The political and economic ground beneath the world's most ambitious aerospace projects simply disintegrated. The Buran program, which had cost billions and had only managed 1 uncrewed test flight, was unceremoniously canceled. The Mriya, the dream, was suddenly a giant without a job. Its grand mission, the very reason for its existence, was gone. A second An-225 airframe, which was about 70% complete, was abandoned where it stood. The original Mriya had its 6 powerful engines stripped for use on other planes and was left to rust in a massive, forgotten hangar in a newly independent Ukraine. For nearly a decade, the world's largest airplane was nothing more than a decaying monument to a dead empire and a canceled space dream. It was a spectacular but ultimately failed experiment, a solution to a problem that no longer existed. But the story was not over. In the late 1990s, the world of logistics was changing. The globalized economy created a new, niche demand for transporting outrageously oversized and super heavy cargo, things like 150-ton power plant turbines, industrial generators the size of a small house, or massive construction equipment that simply would not fit in any other plane. Antonov Airlines, the cargo division of the design bureau, realized they had a unique billion-dollar asset sitting in that hangar. They decided to bring the Mriya back from the dead. After a lengthy and expensive restoration, the An-225 was reborn. In 2001, it returned to the skies, not as a shuttle carrier, but as the ultimate commercial heavy lifter. And it was in a class of its own. If you needed to move a 150-ton generator from Germany to India, you called Antonov. If you had to deliver 4 battle tanks to the Middle East in a single flight, you called Antonov. The Mriya broke over 200 world records, including airlifting the heaviest single piece of cargo ever, a 189-ton generator for a gas power plant in Armenia. It became a legend in the logistics world and a beloved icon for aviation enthusiasts. Wherever it flew, massive crowds would gather just to catch a glimpse of the giant. It was a symbol of hope and rebirth for Ukraine, a piece of Soviet history repurposed into a successful, modern commercial enterprise. It had found a new mission. For 20 years, the Mriya was the undisputed king of the skies. It was a flying testament to the idea that even the most specialized and seemingly obsolete piece of engineering can find a new purpose. It was a survivor, until it wasn't. In February 2022, Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The Antonov An-225 Mriya was fatefully undergoing maintenance at its home base at Hostomel Airport near Kyiv. The airport, because of its long runway, became a primary strategic target for Russian forces in the opening hours of the war. An intense battle for control of the airfield ensued. When the fighting subsided, the images that emerged were heartbreaking. The world's only Mriya, the beautiful and irreplaceable giant, had been shelled and burned in its hangar. The dream was dead. The destruction of the Mriya was more than just the loss of a machine. It was the destruction of a cultural icon, a symbol of Ukrainian pride and engineering achievement, gone in a flash of violence. But the story somehow still is not over. Immediately after its destruction, the Ukrainian government and the Antonov company announced their intention to rebuild the Mriya. The plan is to use the second, unfinished airframe that has been sitting in storage since the Soviet era. It's an enormously expensive and complex undertaking, but it's a project fueled by national pride and a desire to see their dream fly again. As the world mourns the Mriya, a new giant is preparing to take to the skies. An American startup called Radia is developing the Wind Runner, an aircraft designed to transport the enormous blades of offshore wind turbines. If built, it will be even larger than the Mriya in terms of length and cargo volume. It's a new kind of giant, born not from a space race, but from the race to find sustainable energy. So why did the world's biggest plane exist for a mission that didn't? It existed because one nation's fear and ambition created a logistical puzzle that only a giant could solve. It was a magnificent, over-the-top solution to a problem that history would soon erase. The mission failed, but the plane, against all odds, found a new one. And its story continues, even after its tragic end, because it represents something more than just metal and engines. It represents a dream. The dream of building something bigger, pushing the limits of what's possible, and reaching for the sky. Whether that dream will fly again, one thing is certain: humanity will never stop looking up and dreaming of building bigger.